Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Professor
Hello.
Ryan Ritzy. Um, if you guys don't know me, I'm a first degree black belt under Professor Flavio Almeida, who's taken the time to join Tussa and I today. Guys, we are here to celebrate the first ever release of a no-gi curriculum at GB Online from, of course, Professor Tussa. So, guys, I want to introduce you. In case you don't know, Professor Roberto Tussa is a third degree black belt. He's a no-gi world champion, and he is the coach to UFC superstars John Jones and Holly Holmes, among others. So, Professor Tussa, thank you for taking the time to be here.
Hi guys, I'm very excited for this upcoming project, the GB Online, and I feel honored to be a part of this very first launch in the no-gi curriculum, and I'm super excited to share my knowledge, share my experiences inside and outside the mats in competition, and there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of great content into this videos, and I take a lot of pride to do that for the Gracie Barra team and family, and honored to be the first one to be one of the pioneers of this project. So just like talk to the team to make this great project, happening, and looking forward to the future.
Nice, and congratulations, Tusa. Big honor. We're very happy to have you here, and of course, joining us too, special guest as well today, Professor Flavio Almeida. He is a fourth degree black belt under Master Carlos Gracie Jr., another world champion of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and multiple school owners, and one of the main leaders of Gracie Baja. So, Professor Flavio, thank you for taking that time to be here.
Thank you, Ryan. It's great to be here. Thank you for setting it up. Excited for the release of this no-gi training program. I'm certainly gonna implement it here in Arizona, and I look forward to training all my students with your techniques, Professor. If they can get anywhere near you, I'll be very, very happy.
Nice, guys. So let's get right into it, guys. We should be here for about half an hour to 45 minutes. We're going to see some of the techniques from Professor Tusa's curriculum, and then we're going to get into some deeper topics of no-gi. So stay tuned for that, guys. But first, before we get into it, Professor Tusa, I want to actually ask Professor Flavio, since he's made the time to join us as well, if Professor Flavio, if you could help us understand this GB Online idea, and more specifically, the GB2 Online No-Gi. How's this going to help the GB students and our GB schools?
Well, I think for any person of Gracie Barra to appreciate this, we need to make a step back and understand uh, what's the vision behind GB Online, right? And what Master Carlos Gracie Jr. is trying to accomplish with it. I remember a long time ago, and that was on the early days of YouTube when Master Carlos was telling us about his vision for teaching Jiu-Jitsu over the internet, and how eventually would come a day in which people would take seminars over the internet, and I think his intuition was telling him that through digital technologies we could bring a team that's spread all over the world together in a very unique way. He always had a concern of making sure that Gracie Barra is growing together instead of growing apart. And I think GB Online is the fourth pillar of Gracie Barra's development. Is the realization of a dream for him and for so many of us. And of course, it comes down to us being able to implement these things successfully and be able to make a difference for our students. So GB Online comes to join forces with GB Wear, GB Events, and GB North America, and the other offices around the world, like GB Europe, GB Oceania, GB Brazil, and GB Australia, GB Japan, to be able to continue to strengthen, our regional and global operations, with the ultimate goal of making an impact for our students. Uh, if you speak English, which you do, otherwise you're not here, you'll not be here. You know that over the last couple of years, the amount of online instructionals has been booming on the internet, right? And think the goal here is to make sure that our students, Gracie Barra students, uh, have within Gracie Barra a great digital learning platform, and that's the most important thing about it. I'm going to highlight it now is that it complements the training they have at that school. So as an instructor, I'm personally very skeptical about how much online instructionals can actually impact the students' game. Because man, if you're practicing, let's say guard this week, and then you go take an online instruction when it talks about something totally out of what you're working on, or even if it's guard, but the techniques are not related to what you are doing, it's hard for you to add those things to your game. Man, it's hard to add new techniques to your game, even even on a regular class. When you see online, the gap between what you see on the screen and actually being able to implement it is very hard to afford. So I think GB Online has done a wonderful job setting up the online instructionals to be a complement to what we do in our academies. The structure of the training program is exactly the same structure of the training program we have in our schools. And that, for me, is the biggest leap forward and the biggest difference between what GB Online is doing and what all the other companies who are creating online instructionals are doing. And for the benefit of Gracie Barra students, really. And the goal ultimately is to be able to accelerate their learning, is to be able to give our instructors better tools to run even better classes, and also to create a platform that gives our amazing athletes and instructors an opportunity to share their jiu-jitsu, to preserve their jiu-jitsu for the current and for the future generations.
Nice, beautiful explanation. I think that really well laid out well the vision behind GB Online. And then before we get into the specific program with Tussa, I do want to ask you, because you're so close to Master Carlos Gracie Jr., why did he choose Professor Tussa to be the first person to release this Nogi on GB Online?
Well, I think Tussa he has it all, right? He has done it all. He has nothing to prove, and yet just spoke to him this morning. He's going to be competing in a week at the Nogi Worlds. Just a guy that has achieved excellence in everything he did in his personal life, and of course, as a leader of Gracie Barra. One of the most accomplished athletes. The Nogi world champion in his weight division and absolute at the black belt. And the guy is a coach of some of the best UFC fighters. Uh, he runs multiple schools. He's always done it for himself, but he's always done it for Gracie Barra. No matter what he did, he always found a way to give back to the organization and to elevate Gracie Barra as he elevated himself. And it's not this is not easily done, and I think those are the reasons. It's a big recognition for any one of us, to be able to start one of these online instructions. And nobody better than him, especially because his major expertise is no-gi. So I'm grateful as a teacher and as a student of Jiu-Jitsu. I'm excited to learn from him, and I think there's no better than him within Gracie Barra to have done this first version of no-gi online training program than Tussa. So thank you, my brother.
Thank you for the kind words, sir. Yeah, man, I feel honored to be a part of that, and be among all the athletes that we have, all the professors that we have within our organization. I feel honored to be the pioneer once again of this project, and literally I brought my best of my moves, the best of myself into this project, and I'm looking forward to see what the results will come, and how much it can help our fellow teammates, professors, athletes within Gracie Barra, to help the escalate the no-gi game and have a new, different approach to some of the takedown that I brought to the table. Some of the mindset that I have leads up to no-gi session. Just like to thank for the kind word, Flavio. And I'm just one of the Gracie Barra leaders. That's how I feel.
Well, speaking of your techniques, Professor, let's get into the first one. Tony, if you have it ready, to play because if it's the right one, yeah, this one actually has a unique name. So it's a back take. So Tusa, walk us through
Which
this
one is
after
that one?
it plays.
Oh, it's probably the Professor Flavio's role. I call it Flavio role. Actually, I learned from him. He came to my gym to teach a seminar. It actually was a sitting guard, had nothing to do with the turtle position, but I had to ask him and say, hey, I don't care what you're showing us right now. I need to see in details how you're breaking down the back take that he does in every single one. I never saw him miss that move, you know. So I'm very accomplished with that one. I'm very successful with that move. I teach that to all my fighters, all my students, but I have to give the credit to Professor Flavio because I saw him execute that perfectly against me, against the top competitors on that time, you know, and that's his move. And I think he can talk a little bit more about it, but it's very efficient, you know, and with the
You've
details that
you've
come from
made
him.
you've made it better, my brother. That's for sure.
I was gonna ask you, Flavio, how's Tusa doing?
He's doing great, man. I think the breakdown is perfect. The thing about this move is like you really explore the most common gap that the turtle position has in no gi. You know, the guy defends the neck, he defends the hook. There's always some space for your arm to come through from shoulder to armpit. You know, and then once you lock it, it's right there. You know, and I love like the hand battle that Tusa explains there to be able to do a transition to the choke. It's clean and seamless. So I'll give him like a great 10 for that demonstration. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was under pressure. Thank you for that, Flavio. So I'm a heavy follower. But
That's
this is one
great.
of the techniques. Yeah, it's one of the techniques that will be described in the whole curriculum, you know. And I was really excited about to. That's how jiu-jitsu is. You learn from somebody, you know. It's kind of recreating things here and there, variations, but you have to learn from somebody. And then this one of this case, I have to give the credit to Professor Flavio because that exactly I searched for it, you know. I pursue it, you know. I called him over to come to my gym, and I wanted to learn from the best.
Now
I
everybody gets to
appreciate
learn
that,
from the
man.
best with you too, Tusa. So you did a great job on these techniques. There's 96 of them on the curriculum, a full GB2 curriculum. So I know Professor Flavio will be implementing this in North Phoenix. We're going to be implementing it at GB Scottsdale. So really excited for that. I actually want to ask you to bring it back to stay with you here. You've had many opportunities over the years to release a curriculum or a technique series, but you've waited until now. Why? Why is that?
There's a multiple reasons, you know. Back the days when I was active competing, you know, on the highest level, I had some people approach me and wanted to do some instructional. And at first, I think the incentive was not quite there, and my focus was different. You know, I was focusing on developing my gym, developing my career as a competitor. You know, and I was still a lot to learn. So I still have a lot to learn. Jiu-Jitsu, you never stop learning. But I feel at this point, the time is right. I have time to dedicate to share the knowledge. You know, I have enough knowledge with all this competition that I come through. You know, in training and seminars that I've been participating. So I feel I'm more mature. I have more knowledge than I had like 5, 10 years before, than 10 years ago. So and especially because now I'm doing it for my team, Gracie Bar. So I would be the first instructional video. I definitely will start with Gracie Bar, and that's how I feel that will be my next approach right now. And just keep sharing, you know, giving back what I've been learning over these years, and that's not no better way to share with my family, you know.
Beautiful. And what's your hope? We have many students here who are watching. What do you want someone to get out of studying GB2 online by Roberto Tusa?
The online business is growing a lot, and I feel there's a need for us at Gracie Barra to be able to not only share with our own team but preserve our techniques. So coming out of there, I feel that I'm able to on these 90 techniques show the overall game of myself. You know, so all my favorite moves from each scenario. I think that's one of the advantage to be able to show the curriculum because we can be diverse. We're not going to be only show a guard passes, or you're only going to show a sweep series from a butterfly or close guard. So I'm able to show the best of the best of every little details, every little scenario that our curriculum presents. Whether it's mount escapes or mount attacks. So I've been working in offensive and defense scenarios. So they're gonna get a big completed game. Someone that has no much of understanding which position who fits better for no gi in certain situations. What's the difference between gi and no gi in certain situations? It's matter about grip, it's about mindset and the setup. So I'm able to describe all of that. I do believe that I can contribute a lot to the no gi team because all my experience, my interest since the beginning, even before moving to America from Brazil, I used to develop my no gi game back in Brazil when the no gi was not even unheard of. So I feel that I can add a lot to not only the instructors but the students and athletes because it's a good mix that comes in there. So I expect them to take the best of my game, the best of the no gi game that I've been developing the past 20 plus years. And I'm very excited because I'm very confident that what I have over there is the greatest thing that I've been developing now. So I bring my best foot forward for this project, and I'm excited to show this to our community.
Nice, and it's incredible. I've watched a lot of the techniques now. I can't wait. They're very, very good. If you guys haven't noticed too, so we're gonna keep going. But Professor Flavio is at where are you right now, Professor Flavio? You're at GB Phoenix, right? GB Phoenix. There it is. What do you have going on there, Professor?
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I should be at home to do this meeting, but I just came back from being away, and it's a big week of training here because the guys are fighting on fight to win. So I wanted to be here for them. So I'm aggressive about fitness because we're about to start our competition class, and yeah, it's a big week. So I had to try to squeeze everything together. I hope I'm not messing up the meeting too bad.
Not at all, man. It's all good. But I want to give you an opportunity, Professor. I know you do have to get going. Your class is going to start in 10 minutes. But Professor
Hmm.
Tussa and I are going to keep going. We're going to check out another video and get to some more questions. But I'll let you jump out, Professor Flavio. If there's anything you want to add or say, now's a great time.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I just want to thank you guys for everything you're doing, GB Online. It's a big deal what's happening here. We're all still scratching the surface of what's possible, but it's the fact that GB Online is, much like all the other GB entities, is trying to create a platform that everybody can benefit from, is what's going to propel this new entity forward. Very thankful for Professor Tussa, Professor Victor, and Professor Henrique Machado for being the pioneers, and hopping on board when we didn't know exactly what we were doing. It went something like this, I called Tussa, said, Tussa, man, it's gonna be we're gonna do this online thing, can you help us? We're just getting started. He didn't even ask any questions about what's the setup, how much he was gonna get paid. He hopped on board right away, and really like no questions asked. And of course we're trying to make this thing something very special because what we see in the future is that a lot of the Gracie Barra athletes, when they are on their prime years and they're living out of seminars, and the GB online instructions could be another source of revenue. So we're trying to establish something that the students will benefit because they will learn amazing jiu-jitsu that will complement their class. Instructors will benefit because the students will get better faster, better retention, um, and better tools for them to teach their own classes. And of course, the schools are also benefiting financially from the sales of GB online instructions. The athletes or the teachers benefit from it. So it's really like a win-win for everybody. And the reason why I'm highlighting that is because that's the premise over which we build everything at Gracie Barra. We have to create a win-win collaboration platforms, and GB Online is accomplishing just that. So much respect and much appreciation to everybody involved. Of course, we're counting on all of the instructor support. Ultimately, it comes down to us as teachers to be able to make these tools functional and implement them on our academies. Outside of that, Ryan, I'll pass it back to you. Thank you for setting it up. Let me know if you guys need anything else. I'll be available in about 2 hours.
Thank you, Flavio.
Thank you, Professor.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. So, Tussa, back to you, my man. I guess one of the questions I want to ask you, people see you a lot now, cornering UFC fighters. Like I said when I opened the call, John Jones and Holly Holm. So, how did you get involved training these people?
Yes, man, I've been in Albuquerque, New Mexico for about roughly 13 years. It's already been that long. And at first I came over here, Jackson Wink gyms were already established. They used to have George St. Pierre, Rashad Evans, all the big names. John Jones was just started a career. But my focus was only jiu-jitsu, you know. I just got a fresh black belt. I wanted to develop my team, you know, build my career as a competitor, build my name up there. So I didn't even put much interest, not even went to visit it. I was just focused on growing my team. And 6 years later, the interest started showing because my name started getting a little bit more out there because of my accomplishments, you know, my tournaments, win victors. But also my team started developing after 5, 6 years. We were able to put a solid work here. And some of my students start going to Jackson's and Wink, start training, and they start to see the difference on the ground game, you know. And they kept asking, man, why you been learning your jiu-jitsu because you're getting so good. And they said, man, there's a Gracie Barra, you know, jiu-jitsu schools right around the corner here, like a mile away from you guys. You should try to check it out. So Winkon John is the head of the Jackson Wink team. He invites me over to trade um, private lessons, striking private lessons. He was holding pads for me in exchange for BJJ classes. So I actually was teaching the man itself, you know, I was teaching the head of the team over there, and that's why we built a little bit of a relationship, and he could see a little bit of my style. At first, they wanted me to fight, and I was actually down for it. So let me get into this fight business, you know, make a transition from BJJ competition into the MMA competition, and that was my first approach when I went to the Jackson Wink gym. And when I realized, man, how hard work it is, it's a full-time job. You have to put a lot of time, and the return was not that what I expect financially, you know, and the exposure that I would get from fighting MMA, it would not be what I was looking for. And I noticed that team needs more like another coach versus another 185 to fight for a contract to try to get a fight, to try to get into the bigger organization such as UFC, Bellator. So I felt if I was going to that team, I would become another competitor versus being an addition to the team. So it was actually a decision that I had to make right on the beginning. And I started working with a fighter named Kyle Noak. And that was my very first experience that he took me to the house, the Ultimate Fighter, the Tough Nation, like the Ultimate Fighter house. So I was there for 7 weeks. So that's when I developed a lot or my understanding. You know, I got better a lot of my skills as a coach in MMA because we have a lot of experience on a house like that because we have fights after fights. So that way, that was my beginning of working with fighters, with UFC, with MMA. And from that point on, I started working with some other fighters. Like Holly Holm came right after when she got a fight with Ronda Rousey. And after that, John just hired me back. So the thing was happening naturally, but it had to do with my work first. I was putting my work first. I was taking care of myself first before just jumping to something and start kind of split myself thin and not be able to do the thing right. So the transition when I make my transition from jiu-jitsu to the MMA, so I was able to have some people that will actually cover some of my BJJ class, so I could spend some time into the MMA. So actually it was very delicate transition because I didn't want to just literally give up on my BJJ journey and just start moving to MMA. So I was able to stay really concentrated on the only just few fighters, pretty much the top fighters at the gym. And that's where my role is right now. I'm the head instructor, BJJ instructor for the Jackson Wink team right now. So I have a Professor Barata, some of other black belts that work with the other fighters. And that's right now for me here. I'm just committed with Holly Holm, John Jones, and this upcoming from Bellator's Pico, Aaron Pico. Is a great wrestler, is world wrestler, is known, very well known. So this is upcoming. So I only have 3 fighters that I'm working with right now, but our team is being implemented. We're like a cousins team, you know, we're working together. Jackson Wink and Gracie Barra over here in town. So I think that helps both of them. We help them to train the ground fighters, the ground fight, but also they help us recognition, recognize us as the best team in the state here, So it's been a great relationship in the past 5, 6 years.
Nice, and I think to credit your teaching, a lot of these people like John Jones, Holly Holm, I'm sure many of the other MMA fighters haven't stayed at Jackson Winks to learn no-gi from you, but they've actually gone over to your Gracie Barra school and taken gi classes, right? And one of the things that I've always respected a lot on one of the UFC embedded, I think that I watched, where John was getting ready for a title fight, and you promoted him to blue belt. And I thought that was very cool because obviously his skill is quite high, but you haven't treated him any different than anyone else that wears a Gracie Barra gi. So, what's your criteria on BJJ promotions for a superstar like John Jones?
Yes, superstars, whatever they might be in their career, the start of their life. In Jiu-Jitsu, we treat everybody equally, and that's what I will try to do. We have our standards, our brand promotion is how that works, which takes minimal attendance, knowledge, and giving back to the team. So that's those three basic elements that I ask for a fighter. John has a tremendous, outstanding skills level. He already submitted many black belts in the past in an MMA fight. And I don't want him to be a champion in gi or no gi or whatever. I want him to understand the philosophy, not only of the philosophy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but philosophy of Gracie Barra, who we are, where we came from, what is our purpose. And that's not there on him because he doesn't spend enough time on the mats with us. He doesn't put as much time because he has fights after fights. So usually off camp, when he's not competing, that's when they put their time with the gi. But after that, we take their gi off because they need to get used to without the gi and learn a lot more about the no gi situation. So knowing that, and I have to educate not only him but all the fighters that it takes time for us to become a black belt. It is a lifelong journey. Is have the title black belt to become one. So it is like I was trying to tell not only him but all my students. You don't want to open your BJJ journey book and then you're going to flip the pages, the beginning, you just have the end of it, which is later on in your black belt when you come from white to black belt. So you haven't built anything into your career, into your BJJ path. So I was telling him, you're going to enjoy your blue belt, you're going to be learning different grips, purple belt, you're going to be learning a little bit about yourself, or maybe competition, and a little bit more advanced. Some advanced techniques, and the brown belt, you're going to start learning a lot more about knee bars. So there's a lot more into it, just to talk about technique-wise, but Jiu-Jitsu not only learn a good technique, know a lot of techniques, and being a tough fighter, it's not about that. It's about the philosophy of being a great ambassador of the sport, giving back and passing along your knowledge to the others that come after you. So those little things is still missing on those fighters. When they put enough time there, they're gonna get promoted just like everybody else. And I feel they appreciated that a lot because I don't make preferences. I just follow the rules that our organization implemented in, which I believe you need to spend time enough to understand everything goes with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu lifestyle. It's not only being tough and submit black belts that gets you a black belt. So that's my big believer. And I stand by that, and I will treat everybody the same way.
Beautiful, Professor. Something I think we all respect quite a lot about you, treating everyone the same, just like that. So, um, much respect to that. And as we start to get towards the end of things here, I want to visit one of the other techniques. Tony, if you're there, this technique it's another unique name involved with it. One of your good friends, you actually gave him a shout out earlier. Maybe you can walk us through this technique for us.
I believe that, okay, that's the neon belly, Barato Plata neon belly. It's very common, so I think the easiest way to set up the Barato Plata, I learned, of course, from the man himself, Barata. Professor Barata is developing a great series of the Barato Plata setup. And the way I will describe it here in English, you guys can hear there. but it's a way to distract the person, so you put a knee on belly, so usually they have a reaction, they will push your knee, they will try to kind of hip escape. So as right now I'm describing how to slow down the hip escape that usually people do when you put in your belly, So the position itself there, I've been developing a lot, I've learned a lot of the different setups of Barato Plata, and this one is the easiest one that I learned, that I hit it more often than others. It is that one for knee on belly because it's a classic reaction that they do there. Sometimes they just defend themselves, sometimes they push you there. So that's how I explain it. How you do the hook the arm and how you sit on the ankle so you don't get your legs caught on the way to the when you transition to the position. So like in all the techniques that I've been explaining there, I show those details that really matters because those positions, all of them, I taught that before in class, I taught that before in seminars to my fighters, So I kind of know what's the key points that we need to focus on it. But here's the Barato Plata, it's very unique and tricky, it's liquid technique that a lot of people sometimes get lost, do not know what's coming from. And when it's there, you're super tight, and then it's like a very powerful shoulder lock. So shout out to Professor Barata for developing that, creating the Barata Plata series. And that's for me is my favorite setup from there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was going to say, actually, you mentioned it, but for anybody who's a white belt or blue belt who may not be familiar with this, it's a shoulder lock, right?
Yes, a lot of people think it is like a bicep slice. You can transition to it, but it's only allowed for brown and black belts. It's like a critical submissions, So the Barato Plata, when you move your hips away, it's going to be affecting the shoulders. It's going to be attacking the shoulders in there. So a lot of the referees sometimes confusing there and think this is a bicycle slide, but we had to talk to the federation. It's kind of funny because we had to talk to the IBJJF with the referees, the head of the referees, and explain them the Barato Plata is not a bicycle slice, it's a shoulder lock submission. So I feel the federation and all the referees, they're familiar as right now. But before there were actually some controversies. They were thinking there was a legal move, but if you understand, if you apply, if you drill those techniques, you're gonna feel there's a lot of pressure on your shoulder. It's a great move, cool move, It's very slick.
Nice, beautiful. Well, Professor, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for taking that time to be here. As a reminder for anybody who's listening, GB2 Nogi by Professor Tussa is available today. We do have a special coupon for anybody who's watching this with us. If you missed the pre-sale discount for $30 off, we're going to extend it. So for 24 hours, if you use the coupon code GB250, so GB230, so GB230 will get you $30 off for another 24 hours. As well as GB Events has given a coupon code. Anybody who wants to go to any event at the World Summit, whether it's the Component or all 3 days, they've offered a 10% off discount for anybody for the next 24 hours. And that coupon code is GBWS10. So one more time, GBWS10. Professor Tussa, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Big congratulations. This is a pretty historic day for GB Online and Gracie Baja to release its first Nogi curriculum. So I'll pass the word back to you to say whatever message you want for the team, and just one more time, and big congratulations.
All right. I would like to just thank, first of all, the team, the staff team that have been working behind the scene here in the GB Online, for the opportunity. Of course, Master Carlos Grace to care about direct the name, just putting me on the line of this here. That holds me very responsible and committed to make the best of myself, into this project. And I'd like to talk, last but not least, it is my family, my GB family that always been supporting me there. Every time I fight there, I have you guys back. I always represent the Gracie Bar as a whole. It's not only my legacy. And I feel that the teams always support me, when I through online, when I'm at the tournament, the support is as amazing. So that's what I feel that this project over here could not be better than doing for Gracie Barra, because that's when you can just deliver the best of yourself there, hiding any secrets. So I'm leaving this all to you guys, and I'm excited to display some of my techniques that I've been developing in the past 24 years of training. That's what you're gonna get from there. And no gi is something that I've been doing for so long, and I'm very comfortable and confident that it will be a great. I'm not trying to sell this over here, but just telling that will be on a greater addition to your resume, to your curriculums, to your techniques series. And enjoy, guys. Enjoy this. There's those series of techniques. There's 96 different techniques that I spend a lot of time, and put my heart and soul into that. And also the GB online team too. We've been spending quite a few hours together, but I feel that's for the great cause, which is implementing that and amplify our sort of knowledge. And jiu-jitsu is about that, always learning, and looking forward to please you guys there. You guys have a great time studying and watching, developing your no-gi game. And until the next time, guys, thank you for the opportunity, thank you for the support. I heard there was like over than 400 people online that listen to this. So for the bottom of my heart, guys, we are familia, we are family, we are team, and I see you guys as one. And I appreciate all your support for all these years, and you continue to work and continue to progress. We are GB. Os.
Thank you, Professor. Thanks, everyone. You can go to online.graciebaja.com to access it now, guys. Thank you, Professor. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, the team. Congratulations, GB. Best in the world. Os. Have a good one, guys.